All right, everyone. Welcome to So I Did a Thing. We've already got people in the audience. We've got Shannon Nelson is here. That might be nope. That's Jason Forehand, LinkedIn user. He's here. Shannon Nelson's here. So yeah, welcome everyone. Thank y'all for being here. Let's see. Where do I want to start? Got a brand new website. In case y'all haven't heard me talking about it over the past week or two, I have a brand new website, hitproductions.live. Trevor Hansen built it for me. It is absolutely amazing. It looks better than what I thought it would ever look. I mean, not knocking Trevor's ability. It just looks really clean, really crisp. And I absolutely love it. There's also a link to my merch page there. And in case y'all haven't heard me talking about merch over the past month, got a bunch of cool stuff there. I had a meeting with Dana and Z today. We're adding new stuff this week. So that is awesome. And my shop is doing absolutely phenomenal. So thank y'all all so much for supporting. I appreciate it very much. Dan Roth, what's good, man? I haven't seen you in what feels like forever. How you doing? Sri is here. How are you, ma'am? Marissa Banks, you made it. Good to see you. Sam Swirsky is here, fellow Texan, transplanted to Utah for right now. Kenny D is in the house. What's going on, Kenny? And all these are covering up my face. Let me turn that ticker off. There we go. Maybe I should zoom out. That's weird. I don't remember it ever covering me up like that before. So weird. Anyway, so my guest tonight, super excited. It was actually supposed to be someone else. She had to cancel on me last week, and she gave me plenty of time to find someone else. So it was cool. It was no big deal. And I was thinking, man, it was down to Eva and one other person. And I was like, I'm going to ask Eva. And I connected with Eva a couple months ago. And I actually connected with her because she's like my target client. I connect with target clients. I engage with their content. I don't ever pitch them. And if they bite, cool. If not, then I made a new friend. And Eva and I are now like internet besties. So it worked out perfectly. Which is really the way it should be, I think, on LinkedIn is, you connect with people with a motive, but not with a motive, if that makes sense. So just be open to wherever it takes you. And like I said, if they don't bite on what you're offering, then that's cool too. Then you have a friend. So I'm going to bring Eva Daniel out. Hi,
Hi,
Eva.
guys. I like your intro that basically I'm the second string quarterback, but I mean, I'm just going to say I'm still in the game. Even if
You
someone
made it
I'm
though.
still in the
You came
game.
off the bench. You made it. And no, I mean, it had to have been God though, because I was actually typing an email to someone else and I was like, something stopped me. And then your name came to mind like that quick. So it had to have been God going, no, 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 ask Eva. So you weren't second string. You were God's first choice. Let's just call it that.
I mean,
So
it
thank
already
you
keeps
so
me
much for being
excited.
here last minute.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And this is so fun seeing all the comments as you were giving your little spiel. I saw it, and I don't know if you brushed right over, but somebody asked you about your epic beard, like your beard
Yep,
is back.
Dan. Yeah,
So tell us
Dan.
about that. I'm gonna
I don't.
turn it, flip it, and interview you here. Who's
Yeah,
more
I know,
your
right?
beard?
Yeah, I think it's because Dan has not been to one of the shows in a while. He's been busy. So I don't know what he meant. Like my beard hadn't gone anywhere for I did. I missed last week. Did I miss last week? I missed the 31st. That was last week. I did miss last week. That's right. So I am back. Maybe that's what he meant.
I don't
I don't
know,
know.
but you're
I don't
back either
either.
way.
Yeah, either way, I'm back. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You're too
Coming
busy
off the
making merch.
bench to
You just
crush
lost
it.
track of time with all the hat sales over here.
Yeah, exactly. It is, and the shop's doing great. Like I'm absolutely blown away with um, how amazing it's doing. I've sold 40 something pieces of merch in the past month, which is like absolutely phenomenal. It's doing better than I ever could have imagined. So it's God blessing it for sure.
What's the top seller? Tell all our marketing friends on
Oh,
here
I
so
don't
I can.
know. I haven't got the stats on it yet. Um, Probably hoodies. If I had to
Hoodies.
guess by the pictures I'm getting, it's been hoodies.
Now, if you'd
Yeah,
launched in July, would have been tank tops.
yeah, probably. Yeah, hoodies would not have done so good in July. Um, but yeah, it's been hoodies, I think. I've gotten a lot of pictures of people with in hoodies, which I love hoodies anyway, so I'm down for that. But yep. Hey, Daniel Burkholder, nice to see you, sir.
Oh man, all the big guns came out tonight. Look at
I
that.
mean, man, all kinds of folks here, and it only says there's 3. That can't be right. Hang on, let me refresh LinkedIn. 12. Yeah, that's better. I knew there was more comments than just 3 people here.
I mean, I've been
Um,
I've been saying them. They're going crazy out there.
yeah, it is. It is print on demand, Jason. So it is it's a third. Everything's done through a third party. Um, obviously, well, I don't have the room, and who wants to buy a ton? Who wants to be the guy that orders a ton of inventory and then has to worry about shipping and doing all that? That's not what I want to do. So I set it up through Mavens of Merch. They handle the shop for me. They do all the admin stuff. They absolutely take care of everything. All I have to do is tell them what I want, and they do it. And it's really fast. Like this hat I ordered on the 3rd, and it was at my house on the 5th. So
Wow.
it may like they embroidered it and shipped it, and it was there to me in 2 days. So I
Maybe they
was
have a whole warehouse full of stuff just waiting.
yeah, exactly. And if they already have some Hit Productions merch pre-made, then that's like stellar. So tell us about Eva. Like you're a speech, you help people craft and deliver amazing speeches.
Yes,
How
I
did
do.
you get into that?
Yeah, that's a great, I'm one of those rare people. I can count probably on one hand that I actually ended up doing professionally what I went to college for. I was actually a speech major in college. It is a major. And so I got kind of into it in high school and college. Just I've always been super interested in writing and in content. And in end of high school, I was on the high school forensics team. So that is the not cutting up dead people kind of forensics. It's like the talking in public kind of forensics. You
Right.
always got to clarify because there's always, a few kinds of people out there. But so I kind of started the high school route and then studied through college, and then I just fell into my first passion and love was radio and podcasting. And so I did that professionally, like for 12, 15 years. I was a radio producer at Focus on the Family in Colorado Springs and was a producer of their broadcast. And as part of that job, one of the things that I would do, I would conduct all these pre interviews with people to just see if they'd be good podcast guests, radio show guests on the YouTube show. And it would a lot of those guests were authors, and so I'd be interviewing them over their book. And I found pretty repeatedly that people had written this amazing book they had gotten with a mainline publisher. 20 something year old Eva would get them on the phone and they couldn't talk or interview about it at
Mm.
all. And so when I was in my late 20s, I had this idea. I was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to name it From Book to Mic. I thought this was like a brilliant, From Book to Mic was a brilliant business name. But I had this self awareness enough in my late 20s. I was like, I don't think I have enough work experience yet and wanted to learn some more things. And so stuck with being a radio producer for a long time there. And then in 2019, started at Dave Ramsey's company, Ramsey Solutions, as a
Hmm.
speechwriter. And originally I was hired to work with his team of personalities. He has 6 to 8 speakers that speak on behalf of his company. But then about 6 months in, they go, "Oh, you can write." And I think, well, why did you hire me? And so I started writing. I started writing talks for Dave as well, and it was just an epic ride for over 3.5 years, writing for Dave Ramsey and his team. But that passion that had started in my 20s of starting my own business just continued. And I'd kind of started during COVID, when we're all starting side hustles. I started a side hustle and then it just kind of snowballed. And I looked up spring of this year, kind of had gone into the year thinking, I really think this is going to be my year to start my own business. And full confession, I turned 40 yesterday. So maybe this is my
Oh
midlife
yeah,
crisis. I don't
I
know.
meant
I
to
don't
bring that
know.
up in the intro. You did have a birthday yesterday.
I decided I should just toss it out there. But so I decided, by the time I'm 40, I'm going to launch this full time. And so end of August, I quit my day job. And here I am hustling as an entrepreneur, started the Speak Shop and provide speech coaching and speech writing services. And so just, yeah, really passionate. I believe everybody just has a story within them that deserves to be told. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people just get really caught up learning how to tell their story in an effective way. And so I've really dug in a lot on LinkedIn, which is where we met. And I try to just post just really practical, tactical public
Yeah.
speaking tips. I kind of always say public speaking tips for the real world because I feel
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are sort of relying back on those high school or college speech classes we took,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't really applicable for life. Like maybe you had to give a 10-minute persuasive speech, about something, but it's like, how does that translate something you learned 15 years ago
Right.
to this
Right.
presentation you have to give in front of your team? And so I just really try to provide a lot of those helpful daily tactical things that people can actually apply to real world speaking situations.
And what's great is y'all, if y'all aren't following Eva, you need to follow her or connect with her, because what's really great and what I've found is, even though like I have no need right now to be giving a speech, a lot of the stuff you post about and the tips you give 100% apply to content creation, knowing your audience, telling a story, all the tips and tricks. I'm like, holy crap, like this is content creation 101 right here.
Well, and I was so surprised, when I first started, because for me, when I became a speechwriter, it was like I mentioned, it was a change from being a radio and podcasting producer, and like any rational person should be, I felt a little imposter syndrome, like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
think I can do this. I think I can be a speechwriter, but I hadn't actually done it before. And I was so struck very early into that job how what makes a good piece of content is going to make a good
Mm-hmm.
piece of content, whether it's a LinkedIn post or a blog
Mm-hmm.
post or an article or a YouTube show or a podcast or speech. To a very large degree, where are you going? Where are you trying to go? Like, what's the destination?
Mm-hmm.
What would be an interesting beginning? Where do you want to end? And what is a story arc to get from A to B in an
Mm-hmm.
engaging, entertaining way for your audience?
Yeah, and I think the entertaining part is key. Otherwise, you're not gonna. If it's not entertaining, even if it's a serious topic, you're not gonna hold your audience. So you've got to
Exactly.
find a way to weave that edutainment value, the combination of education and entertainment in there, or value in entertainment, or whatever. And I, like you said, I like the story arc. It's what gets you from point A to point B. It's the
Yeah.
ride you go on, even if it's 3 paragraphs. It's the ride you go on.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Thank you for the
so who
birthday
did?
wishes. I see those over in the comments. Thank you. That was
Yeah,
fun. Oh, I
it's
like to use
usually.
the my my family sweats when they think I'm going to give a speech. And
I
what
would
makes me
too.
feel better? I think that my kids feel the same way. They get a lot of speeches they do not ask for, and I do not get paid for.
Teresa, is yours usually preceded by copious amounts of alcohol, though? That's what I want to know. Like, how much wine before you start trying to give a
And
speech?
does that make them better or worse? Because it could go
Right,
either
exactly.
way.
It could go either way. Exactly. So, fun fact about Teresa was one of my very first LinkedIn friends, the
Oh,
very first person I ever got on a Zoom call with from LinkedIn. Didn't even know how to work Zoom. I had to download Zoom
uh,
to have the call with her. And she kind of showed me around Zoom, and we've been friends ever since. That's been almost 2 years ago now, Teresa. Can you believe that?
hmm.
Crazy how fast time flies. So, who do you work with now? Like, what is your target? If you could pick somebody to work with, and I know this is kind of what we've been talking about. We're both in the same group coaching class with Lauren Rilling, who was my guest 3 weeks ago, I think. Um, so who do you work with now? Who do you like to work with? And what do you do for them?
Yeah, so my favorite people to work with, I always say I am the best at taking people from good to great. So my ideal client, those who benefit the most from my services tend to be those who already are regularly speaking. Maybe they already have speaking engagements on the docket, or they regularly present in front of their team or their company. I mean, I always say I can help anybody. Like if you're struggling with nerves, I want to help you out. But like my sweetest spot is helping people really take that content from good to great. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, what that means, that sounds like a cliche, right? Well, what that means
Right.
in real life, a lot of times, people, especially if you have a story or something significant that's happened to you in your life, a lot of times we just tell our stories a very linear way. A happened and then B happened and then the C happened and there's this order. And we don't necessarily think even
Mm-hmm.
about the way that we are telling our story, because if it's something significant, we've just always told it that way. And it might have been
Mm-hmm.
5 or 10 or 20 or 40 years of telling the story in the same way. And so a lot of what I do is really help people kind of open their eyes to like just kind of questioning all of their processes. But how can we take this story that maybe even you're tired of telling and tell it in a more compelling or interesting way? I mean, there's a reason why all these movies that we love to go see, your opening scene like dives in on the action. And so I
Mm-hmm.
have a really big passion for storytelling and also bringing stories to the workplace. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
all of us, have sat through countless boring presentations given at
Mm-hmm.
staff meetings or even at conferences, and they're just very dry because they don't have
Yeah.
stories to kind of help pull it along. And what I found, and I'm guilty of this myself, a lot of us are not as good as storytellers as we think we are.
Yeah.
So a lot of what
Right.
I always jokingly say that what I come in and I'm the person that tells you if your 17-minute mark of your talk is dry and how to add some humor. Or maybe what's at
Mm-hmm.
your 28-minute mark should actually be your open. So a lot of times it's rearranging and crafting content in a new
Mm-hmm.
way. And also looking for opportunities like how can we help you become more of a thought leader in your space, whether you're already a professional speaker and you're already speaking gigs, or if you are like a CEO of a company or regularly speaking, how can we really help you shine with your strengths to really be able to share your message in the most compelling way. Um, and so, yeah, that's really what I do. And I find that a lot of people that hire me, I jokingly say it seems like there's something that happens between that kind of like 40s and 50s, because a lot of times people they've been in their career for a while, they regularly speak, they know that they're good, but they also kind of have that inkling on the inside that maybe they could be better, but they're not exactly sure why. Because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times what happens to speakers is, you get done presenting and you've talked for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, and people will be like, "Oh, that was really good. That was great." And you think, I talked for an hour. What was great? People are
No,
telling me they don't have
exactly.
feedback.
Right.
Or worse, you get no feedback and you think, well, I
Yeah.
think I did okay, but then maybe a lot of people didn't come up to you afterwards, or there wasn't a lot of traction after you spoke. So I really come in and help people figure out like, how can you not only just create this one talk better, but develop a better speaker strategy around what you're doing to be more of a thought leader in that space and
Mm-hmm.
evoke more conversations and really just present yourself in the way that you want to be presented.
Yeah, exactly. And you did a post last week or the week before about the money wasted by the CEOs
Ah,
or the CFOs or the COOs or the upper management that comes in and gives these what they think is a compelling speech, but there's absolutely nothing to make anybody remember anything that they said. So it ends up wasting, like, I forget the numbers you put on it, but it was
yeah.
thousands
So,
of
so
dollars.
yeah, I'm glad you asked about that because it really is fascinating if you think about it. So some studies have shown that like companies in the US waste like $1.2 trillion on poor communication. But I mean, what does that number even mean? Like, who knows what a trillion
Yeah,
is?
right.
And we all bought
Right.
our Powerball tickets, still not working out. That's only a billion. We don't even know what's happening here.
I know.
We're still trying to figure this out. But if you think about just like in a really simple perspective, so let's say that you have a company of 500 people and the average
Mm-hmm.
person makes $50 an hour, and you have
Mm-hmm.
a weekly 1 hour meeting. That means for your company to have 1 hour meeting, 50 times 500, your company is spending $25,000 for that hour of communication. So you think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, what happens if you have one bad 10-minute presentation of that hour? Well, if you
Mm-hmm.
divide 25,000 by, 6, which so 10 minutes, it's over $4,000. So one poor 10-minute presentation could be costing your company $4,000. And if you think, well, if
Right.
it's the same presenter that gives a 10-minute presentation every week over a year, then that's like $250,000. And okay,
Yeah.
so those numbers might not be crazy and they might not work for your company, but the general thing is like, do you even know what poor communication is costing you in terms of the kind of promotions you're not getting or opportunities your company's not getting, let alone your company at a larger scale? Just so
Yeah.
much money is wasted on poor communication. And it's one of those things we just don't really think about. We maybe assume people just either know how to public speak or, oh, a sink and swim approach, but maybe they don't. Um, so, oh, I think we have a bot in the chat there.
We
Oh,
have a bot. Hang on, I'm trying to get to
oh, I feel
YouTube
like
so
I've
I
succeeded.
can.
I mean, if you're,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know how you get rid of there. Um, but yeah, you know what, Daniel, you
Uh,
asked a great question. Do you hear your kids or Eva's? Well, Chris troubleshoots the bots because I have no idea how to do that. You hear my
well, I
kids.
got to go to freaking YouTube and block them.
Um, so you hear my kids, Daniel. I have, for those of you who don't follow me, I have 4 children, and my background might not look glamorous because I'm in my laundry room. And yeah, it's bedtime here in the Daniel household, and so my husband is crushing the game of getting the kids to sleep. But yeah, it really truly is when you start thinking about communication and just even just what is costing. I always try to tell people too, what's costing you individually. There's a good chance you don't know what not being able to communicate your ideas, whether that's in speaking or in writing, is costing you. And so if you've never considered hiring a speech coach or taking a class or even just reading a book, like, or just learning more about communication, it's worth the investment.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Lisa Marie, good to see you. There was a question up here. Corinne had a question. What length do you recommend for the stories?
That is a great question. It depends where they're placed because I encourage, using throughout your using stories or anecdotes. As a general rule, I think that usually 2 to 3 minutes you can cover a really good story. One of the biggest mistakes people make on stories, though, is they share a story and they miss two key elements in a story. They tell very factually what happened, but you also need to be telling when that thing happened, what did it make you think, and what did it make you feel. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important things, like it's great to tell stories and we love them, but don't just tell a story for the sake of telling a story. Make sure that every story you tell has a point, that it has a point that it drives towards and hopefully moves the rest of your content forward and the direction with your story.
Interesting. Jennifer, I did know that. Only reason I knew that is because I just had to go to YouTube and remove adult thing but from my chat over there. So,
I mean,
woohoo!
so you'll appreciate this. My like I mentioned, my 40th birthday was yesterday, and I posted a selfie. I know it's maybe not appropriate for LinkedIn. You guys do you. I'm doing me over here. Posted a selfie, and I got someone in my country, you old but still very beautiful, and I was like, I deleted that. I don't know if that's a bot or not, but that's getting deleted off the wall. Um, hey, can I answer Marissa's question? Because she has a great one there.
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
How do you choose the right humor for your speech? I love that. I'm very passionate about humor. So one thing I encourage everybody to do, if you're not already doing this, is to keep just on your phone app, keep a funny list. And as humorous things happen to you during the day or the week, just jot a little note so that later when you want some humor in your talk, you actually have something to reference. Because what happens a lot of us is we think, oh, I need to get some humor in this talk. And then our brain becomes this blank slate and we can't even think of anything. So kind of having a regular rhythm of keeping track is very helpful. But then as far as how do you choose the right humor for your speech, this is kind of an obvious one, but it's really important. And a lot of it is to know your audience. Um, know what's funny to that audience. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
all kind of know what's funny to our family or to our friends, but just know who you're speaking to and what would they find funny. And if you don't know, one thing to start doing is, because we all sit through enough good presentations and we all sit through enough bad presentations once you throw on, if you attend church or if you're attending different meetings at work, and just start kind of jotting notes of what makes me laugh when other people are presenting. So especially if you're in an environment where you're regularly presenting, say for example at work, what is funny at work, like what makes people laugh in meetings you're in, and being able to reference back to those things, that like kind of like that community
Mm-hmm.
tribe humor can go a long way. Of course, if you're picking humor for outside of your organization, like let's just say you've been asked to cover your friend's company and you're speaking, one of the ways to add humor is to there's a lot of humor tactics out there. One of the things that's funny for most people is just the unexpected. So a lot of
Yeah.
times, if you, the rule of three is one of my favorite humor techniques, and the whole principle is you list two normal things followed by something funny. So, for example, in it, like let's use something real time here with Chris and I. Okay, so you could say, you know, um, Chris and Eva's live stream was about public speaking, merch, and how to delete bots from your YouTube feed. Like so it would be kind of something funny. We all just experienced it together, like. And so just thinking through what would be the third thing that breaks the ice of the linear train of thought. Like, a lot of money is wasted in the US economy every day. There is there's high rising in electricity and in gas prices, and way too much money is being spent on Powerball tickets. Or, like that's just something relevant today. But like, so breaking that one wasn't as funny. You try some things, maybe they work, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
But trying, breaking up a list of three with that third thing can really be just a great way to add in some humor.
So the copywriter I hired for my website did that in the opening paragraph. You're here for one of three reasons. You want to learn about live streaming and how it can da 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 da. You saw me on LinkedIn, and she added something humorous into that. But then the third one was you thought you were going to be watching grizzlies eat salmon on whatever. I forgot how it was worded, but that's what it was. It was two serious things or semi-serious things, and then a funny thing because you thought you were going to be watching a grizzly cam of grizzlies, feasting on salmon or however she worded it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you said
And
that, I never even.
yeah, so sometimes it's just thinking like, what do I find funny? Because there's usually often, I mean, some of us have more dark senses of humor, more off color than
Mm-hmm.
others, but as a general rule, it's, what would I find funny? And a lot of times, with humor, you don't need to make your audience where tears are streaming down their face and they're slapping their knee because they're laughing so hard. Sometimes it's just an awareness of a lightness, just
Yeah.
bringing a little bit of
Yeah.
levity and lightness to your content, and also being true to you. Like if you're the dad joke person, be the dad joke person, kind of like own your own brand a little bit within your humor. I could do this every week, Chris. I mean, this is a lively chat.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I love it. This is why I love live streaming. When the people are hopping in and the comments are going crazy and they're talking to each other and they're talking to us, and it's just like this crazy chaos, especially whenever you're self-producing and you have to keep track of all of it going on at the same time. I absolutely love it.
So when you're running these for
Absolutely.
other people, are you kind of like navigating all the comments for them?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm usually I'm not gonna do it to you, but I, I'm backstage like this.
Oh, are you still there? Oh,
I'm
wow.
still
Okay.
here. So I have full control over the dashboard still. I'm just not on screen. Right. So I'm handling all the comments, putting the comments on stage. If there's questions, like if you and I, if the guest and the host are in a serious conversation or whatever, and there's questions, I can star the comments and then go back to them at the Q&A time. And that way I don't miss any questions. And then I'm also on LinkedIn on this screen doing community engagement. It's a lot easier to do when you're not hosting the show, where you can kind of run the show over here and keep the chat going over here.
Oh no,
See,
we
there's
haven't heard
another
it.
damn
Oh,
bot.
no. Okay, so how did they get? You'll have to inform us at some point, like
Gonna show
how they
me.
get through the wall. How they get through the wall. Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get Jenny to show me how to block those. She's the queen of YouTube.
oh gosh.
Um,
It seems very intimidating. Do you have to go back through your live stream content later on, like the comments after it's aired, to like delete stuff out too? Or is
Not
it just as
usually.
it's live? Okay.
Yeah, just usually as it's live. Usually this doesn't always happen on Restream, and it's not showing up on YouTube right now. It came into Restream, but I don't see it in YouTube.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? I know this is your show, and I feel like I'm interviewing you a
No, go
little bit
ahead.
here. Okay. Maybe you talk
Yeah.
about this regularly on your show, but can you explain the significance of the dead bird in the corner of your room in your background? Is it a bird?
So
Is it a duck?
it's a duck. It is a
I
duck. I
mean,
used to duck hunt.
I thought my washer and dryer over here were pretty bad. We're
Yeah,
filming this at a
Daniel.
perfect angle.
Yeah, Daniel said something about you must have gotten a new office because you're not in your laundry room, but earlier. Um, let me block them. Block user on YouTube.
Ooh,
Add
that's a
to
good
block list
question.
on Restream chat. There we go. All right. So there's not really any significance to it. I don't know if you can tell my finger right
Yeah,
here because I
there it
can't.
is.
Right on his foot. Right. My camera's mirrored, so I'm like having to do this backwards. Right on his foot. Right there, you can kind of see a band.
Okay.
It's shiny right above my finger. They put those bands on them whenever they're born so they can track them. And it's kind of a trophy in the duck hunting world. I killed
Oh,
that duck right before I got arrested and went to prison. And I always said
oh,
if I killed a banded duck, I would have it mounted. That sucker came in on my last duck hunting trip and I killed it. So it was actually at the taxidermist when I got arrested.
oh.
Yeah. So my granddad went and got it out for me. But it was the last duck, and I can't duck hunt now because I can't shoot a gun. So it doesn't really have any special significance other than it's considered a trophy in the duck hunting world.
Oh, there you go. Had you shared that
Yeah.
story before on your live stream? Has anyone asked you before about it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I see. I should watch your show more. True colors are coming out. Does he even watch it regularly? He does not. Did she
She
watch a
does
couple in
not.
preparation for this? Yes, she did.
And then this skull right here, that was the first year I started hunting after I got out. That's a wild hog. And I killed it. That's the first thing I ever killed with my crossbow.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Oh,
dead critters everywhere.
somebody else asked a question about how to stop using filler words,
Yep,
and
that
I hope it
was.
wasn't their passive aggressive way of calling me out because I use a lot.
Yeah, I
Um,
do too.
No, I mean we're all guilty of it, and when I'm concentrating, I probably do a lot better. You were probably not calling me out, but I would say a couple things on filler words. One of the big ones is seeing the knowing the word that you use. And so for me, I know that word is like can just trickle in there. But knowing what word you use is part of the battle. And then honestly, something I have not been doing well on is slowing down. A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
we use filler words when we start speeding up because our brain is just trying to catch up with the words that we're saying. So if you can consciously make yourself slow down and catch yourself, you're going to find yourself using less filler words. And another good way as well, if you want a more extreme measure, they did this in a Toastmasters club I was in, is if you really want to break the habit, every time you use a filler word, ask someone in the room or multiple people to do something like clap or snap, or maybe you have to pay a dime every time you use a filler word. And after about $20, you're going to think, you know what, I need to reduce this habit. So that would be a few things I'd suggest.
Yeah, this was a good example of humor. Robert said, "I want to scan the room and seeing mostly in blue suits and red ties like me." Started by saying, "I see you got the memo on the dress code," while stroking his red tie. Yeah, picking up.
Oh,
That's the
that's a
perfect
good one.
example of finding something immediately in the audience or wherever and doing something funny about it.
It is, and a lot of times, something like that will be funny coming up, like if there's like a really loud sound. And I always say too, having a back pocket joke, just kind of like if something doesn't work, like if your tech doesn't work, or if like bots infiltrate your feed, or just kind of having like a joke. So, for example, if you're speaking and you're kind of worried about the tech, like maybe the technology is going, just have a back pocket joke, like, oh, I guess the technology, like my teenagers, doesn't want to listen to me. Or, it's not overly funny, but having something just kind of, situational that you can kind of pull out
Mm-hmm.
to use in the situation. And yeah, to just look around and observe what the room is like, what people are wearing or drinking or eating
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, if you can make a joke based on something that's happening in real time, that'll get everybody to laughing. That was a pretty good deal he did there. I had another question too, and I don't remember what it was. I made it 35 minutes without losing my mind, so that's good.
And it's better
Um,
than usual.
yeah,
I'm keeping you on track over here.
you are keeping me on track.
Maybe we should start,
Oh,
maybe we should start the Chris and Eva show, where we
yeah,
teach you
exactly.
about duck hunting, public speaking, humor
What's the
techniques,
theme of your
and
show? Well, it's kind of like
so
Seinfeld. It's the show about nothing.
we did something.
Yeah,
So I did a thing, maybe so we did something. I don't
yeah.
know.
So if people want to work with you, you said the best way to find you is on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I hope to get a website up here by the end of the year. But currently, like I said, I really try to intentionally post public speaking or content related posts Monday through Fridays in
Hmm.
the morning. I often post twice a day and I post on weekends, and those are a little bit more free for all. I talk about my life and my kids and parenting and entrepreneurship and those things. But LinkedIn really is the best way to reach me. I'm very active there. I really try to
Hmm.
engage with everybody that comments on my things. I try to comment on everybody else's things as well. And so that's the best way to reach me. And if you are interested, if anybody watching this is interested in speech coaching services, just send me a DM on LinkedIn and we'll get talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tag
I'm
you in
trying
the
to stalk as
comments. For...
many as I can, like Chris did with me, but you know,
Let me put tagging you in the comments. So if people want to look you up and connect with you, they can do it right there.
yeah, thank you.
You were talking about earlier, I remember what it was. You were talking about slowing down and filler words. You don't, so one thing also that makes you realize how many filler words you use is when you go to when you go to caption a video you've recorded. Oh, I'm, I use wave dot video for mine and I caption it and you go through and you're looking at all the ums and uhs and whatever. But there's another program called Descript, and it's really cool the way it works. It transcribes your video for you, and you edit the video by cutting out sections of word, not actually by cutting out sections of the video itself. So you cut out sections of the transcript, and you can go in there and click highlight all filler words or remove all filler words, and in
Mm.
the transcript it highlights them, and you're just like, holy crap! I say a lot.
Well, yeah. And you know, a lot of people, even like professional speakers, they use a lot of right at the end of, like almost asking a question, like,
Yeah.
right? Right? It's like we're looking for constant affirmation for who we are.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you
and
follow? Are
if
you
it,
connected to Michael Eckstein?
oh, I don't think so.
He's an accountant, right?
Oh,
Right. He's an
okay.
accountant, right? And he says right a lot. And so he does these office hours where he records them and then he chops them up into content. And at the end of every sentence, he says right. And he acknowledges it in his post, like he makes fun of himself, but he does. He says, at the end of every sentence, it's right. It's crazy. It's funny.
If it does make anyone feel better, though, in natural conversation, most people use a filler word every 1.5 to 2 minutes. So using some filler words actually makes you sound natural in your
Mm-hmm.
speaking. You just don't want to use too many.
Look at who it is. Nathan. Is it really impossible, Nathan? I've commented on lives from YouTube. So Nathan used to be on LinkedIn. He got
What?
booted off,
Oh,
and he didn't fight to come back. He is my co-host on the show I was telling you about, Ending the Stigma.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so we do that together. He hadn't showed up to one of my lives in forever.
He must have known
Glad you're
I was
here,
going to be on.
man.
The
He
second
must have
string
known.
quarterback is here for
The
you.
second string quarterback, exactly.
The real guys had to back out, but we're working with what we have here.
Nate, why did I tell Holly that you showed up and she didn't? Oh, Holly's one of our friends. Yeah, this has been fun. This
It's
has
gone
really been
really
a
fast.
blast.
It's really
It
been
has gone
fun.
really
I
fast.
mean, I think everyone wants to know, what does it take to be selected as even the second string? Like, what does it have to be on your show? And the real question everyone wants to know is if they are on your show, do they get a free piece of merch or do they need to buy one? And by everyone, I mean me.
By everyone, I mean you.
Everyone wants to know, meaning me.
Yeah. I've thought
Just
about
kidding. I
doing
will buy
that.
a hoodie because I want to support small business. I will get a hoodie after we get off.
Yeah.
I'll order a hoodie.
I've thought about doing that. Like all
Do you
my
have camo
guests,
hoodies? Do you have camo hoodies?
I need to find out. I meant to ask her today. I had a meeting with them today, and I meant to find out if we could put camo hoodies up.
And you should do like a little duck in the corner of the camo one.
A little flying duck like that.
Little flying duck.
Yeah, that's what he looked like right as I shot him. That was the last thing he did.
You guys, we all know that Chris lives in Texas, right? Right?
Yes.
Are you Texas?
Yeah. Yeah, Texas, born and raised.
You probably
Never
don't have a
lived
lot of New
anywhere
Yorkers
else.
watching about your duck hunting. They're probably all a little horrified. All your New York fans in LA.
Yeah, I don't have many people
Stereotypes
from
here.
the East Coast or the West Coast. Yeah. Actually, no, Jenny's from the East Coast. She's from New York. She's from Canada, but she lives in New York now. The lady that was on YouTube earlier watching. Yeah, she's from New York. I don't think anything shocks her though, coming from Canada. And like everybody knows me.
Do you think anything shocks anybody anymore? I don't know.
It's a crazy world. Probably not. Yeah, I don't think so. Business version of Duck Dynasty.
That is my favorite comment. You know what?
It is. You win, Marissa.
Like, hey guys, news alert if you're like LinkedIn people watching here. I know some people are YouTube, but you're supposed to like put like little endorsements, you know, on your LinkedIn or like testimonials. There is your testimonial, Chris. This show reminds me of the business version of Duck Dynasty. That is now your endorsement. Like testimonial.
It is. It is. Marissa, you should go. You should go put that. You should go put that on the on my LinkedIn recommendations. That would be crazy. Yeah, Shannon, you are in Cali right now. I forgot about that. It's you got to love the stereotypes. I mean, everybody knows the stereotypes of Texas and the South and the East Coast and the West Coast and Pacific Northwest and all that. And you're from Tennessee, right? So you're still technically the South.
Well, I mean, I'm here now, but I grew up in Missouri and I moved here from Colorado. I was in Colorado almost 11 years before moving to the Nashville area. Man, all the things, it's wildly different. Like people are a little less green and a little more into guns. So I drive to work and I want to get a picture of it because it's like, this is branding at its worst, like pay for the whole billboard. So going 65 north to Nashville, there's this big billboard. It's split in half. And on one half it's for Wendy's, like breakfast at Wendy's, fast food. The other half of the billboard is for a gun shop. And like they're off the same exit. And I'm like, buy the whole billboard because now all these Wendy's with guns, which I don't think was what Wendy's wanted. And I don't know if the gun shop was associated with Wendy's. And I just think to myself, you should have bought the whole billboard.
You should have bought the whole billboard. Have you seen the show on Netflix, The Ranch?
I have not, but I've heard is it good?
It's so funny. It is so freaking hilarious, and it's set in Colorado, and it has Sam Elliott in it, and he plays a gun-owning ranch owner from Colorado, and it's absolutely hilarious.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, we are out of time.
Oh, but it was so fun.
Felt it coming out. I know. We get to go hang out again for another hour here in just a minute.
Do you ever have repeat guests? I mean, I know it's second string, but
I do. I have had. I'm trying to think. Marlia Alpers, she does Scout and Cellar Wine. She's a really good friend of mine. I met her on LinkedIn. We talk fairly often off platform. She's been on several times. My friend Amy Wills has been on. I think I counted 9 different times. Usually in groups. Like usually she shows up in like when I do groups, like just chill streams or hangouts or whatever.
Nathan has been a guest a million times.
I don't know if a co-host counts as being a guest. Yeah, a million times, maybe more. I don't know if a co-host counts as being a guest because we kind of are in that together. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe more. I just saw that. All right, guys, it's been real and it's been fun. I appreciate all of y'all for coming. Eva, this has been great. I enjoyed
It's
it. I
been very fun.
laughed.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I
Yeah,
look forward to connecting with everybody here. Friend me on LinkedIn, and I would love to meet you guys there.
yeah, and I will have you on again, second string, sometime soon. All right, y'all.
Sounds good.
We'll see y'all next week. Who do I have? I have Jacob Roig. Jacob's going to be a repeat guest. He's a business coach, but his wife recently went through a double lung transplant. So he's going to come
Oh,
on and
wow.
just kind of talk about that and the journey and everything that's happened, because everybody loves Jacob. He's just an awesome dude. But he's going to come on and kind of tell that story of everything that has transpired. Just everything from the waiting, the diagnosis, the waiting, the heartache, the thinking they're going to get a transplant and then not, and then all the things that you can just imagine that go with it. So he's going to be on to talk about that. So, yep, that's it, y'all. Thank you for coming, and we will see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.